On April 10th, the Carney, along with babbling Bill Blair and the complete psycho bitch, Natalie Provo, made an announcement in the GTA about protecting Canada. And within it, the Carney announced some new gun control measures. None of which target the root cause of the problem. It's 99% going after legal firearms owners, people who have gotten their licenses, their possession and acquisition license, have purchased their firearms legally. Everything they have has been transferred properly, has been registered where necessary, is kept safe at home in a locked cabinet that's difficult to break into with trigger locks on it. These are the people that all of this garbage that he's about to spew here is going to target. Not a single gangbanger is going to be affected by any of these so-called gun control measures, because gun control by its very nature has nothing to do with illegal people. It has nothing to do with illegal activity. It has nothing to do with gangbangers. It has nothing to do with firearms smuggling, because we already have laws for all of that stuff. If you possess a firearm and you don't have a license, that's a charge. That's against the Criminal Code of Canada, the CCC. If you smuggle a firearm into Canada and you don't declare it, that's against the CCC. If you carry a restricted firearm in public, or you don't transport it properly, which is trigger lock in a locked case that's hard to break into, preferably in the trunk if you've got a vehicle with a trunk, but out of sight, and from point A to point B and back again, that's it. No stopping off at the arcade to play some pinball, or at Tim Hortons for meet with the guys for a cup of coffee afterwards. No, you don't do any of that. A to B, back to A. That's it. If you don't do that, that's a charge. That's a violation of the CCC. So, if you have magazines that are not pinned to the appropriate amount in pistols to 10 rounds, if you have 15 round, 30 round box magazines for your pistol, that's against the CCC. Just having the magazine. You don't even have to have the gun. Just the magazine itself, if it's sitting in your glove box, because you thought it was neat. So you bought one, and you don't even own guns. If you have a 30-round box magazine for a Beretta, or was it Glock or whatever, in your glove box, then you're going to go to jail. All of these laws exist already. So these gun control laws, they do nothing to curb gun violence. They don't do a damn thing to stop gangbangers from shooting up malls and elementary schools and daycare centers. They don't stop young women from getting gunned down at 21, 22 years old when they're just starting their lives. It doesn't stop any of that, because none of the people that are being targeted by these gun control measures are the people that are ever going to commit any of these crimes. Gun owners, licensed and legal gun owners, are going to be the most law-abiding citizens you'll ever know. Right? That's just the fact, because they don't want to ruin it for themselves, and they don't want to ruin it for everyone else. So they're always very consciously aware of what they're doing. They don't even want to cross the street against the light or in between blocks, because they don't want to risk getting a jaywalking ticket or something. So you get that, then they go, well, geez, you don't look like you're a very trustworthy citizen, so maybe you shouldn't be trusted to have guns. Okay? So people that own firearms are already the most law-abiding citizens there are in this country. You know, and I mean, if if you target those people and you focus all your energies on those people, all the resources, all the money, and you're not looking at the root cause, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to spend all this money, already over $60 million has been spent trying to figure out how to put into practice numbnut Trudeau's idiotic order in council from 2020, where he indiscriminately banned just a whole plethora of makes and models of firearms just because they looked scary to him. He had to pull the sheets up when they were saying, "What about this one, sir?" Ah! He would go, "Okay, that's on the list. What about this one?" Ah! Apparently, he had nightmares for weeks afterwards. He was very traumatized just by looking at pictures of guns in a book. So the way they judged whether or not it made the list of being prohibited or not is how he reacted. So if he pulled the sheets up like this, on the list it went. But they also showed him the web address of a website, www.ar15.com, and apparently he almost pissed himself. He was so afraid. So the website went on the list of banned firearms. You think I'm joking? Look it up. I'm not. But this is their mentality. If it looks scary, it must be scary regardless of whether or not it actually is. This latest round of firearms that they added, another 1,500 or 2,000, are all simply just replicas. They're modern replicas that were just hit the market within the last 1 to 5 years, and what they are meant is to commemorate popular firearms from the past, like World War II, firearms that we'll never see, we'll never be able to experience. So these companies, they make these firearms, but they are solely, purely just replicas. They're all chambered in .22 long rifle, which is basically the pop gun of the firearms industry. They do very little. Don't get me wrong, hit in the right spot, it can kill you. But anything can kill you. Right? Rick Sanchez killed a guy with a spoon, for crying out loud. But they're basically the smallest cartridge that you can put into a gun whilst still allowing it to be a firearm. And so these manufacturers choose that because it's the least offensive to gun grabbing, gun crazy psychopaths that don't want anybody to have a gun. It's usually pretty hard to argue that a .22 is going to come get you. But here we are. They ban these guns solely on the premise that they look scary, that they have the exact same action that any other .22, well, semi-automatic, not in the fact, like, the philosophy of the action is exactly the same. The action itself, it's probably different components and everything, but the philosophy of the action is exactly the same. They're not fully automatic, they're not scary, they're no more dangerous than a regular, wood grain, typical rifle that's chambered in .22 long that has a semi-automatic action. It just happens that these ones were made to look like what they're replicating. That's it.